the recording is going. Awesome. Okay, let's get going. So we got what we're at, guys, is we're gonna be talking. This is the last live class that we'll have. Sometimes I do a class next week, but it's usually just kind of a review of everything. So after this, we've kind of gone over a brief overview of everything that's in the class. Today we're going to be talking about some of my favorite stuff, actually, which is identity theft and consumer protection. So basically, it's just talking about how you can help yourself not get scammed, right? I'm sure, does anybody have any stories out there of somebody that got scammed? I know my my grandma invested in this Dominican Republic thing one time. She lost like $15,000 because the place went under. It was supposed to give her either a vacation every year or a thing. My dad was not too happy about that. Let's just say that for one. So, does anybody have any stories about how somebody got scammed? Well, if you do have those as we're kind of going through the class today, please feel free to share. I'll share my kind of stories and some things that I didn't quite get scammed on, but could have very easily. How things happen like that. So, okay, a couple things. What you're working on this week, you should be getting done with like lesson 12 and 13. Okay, you should have all those other ones passed off, and that means next week you should just have lessons 14 and 15, and we're done. Okay, we've already gone through all those weeks, and then you have another about half week to just catch up. So there's not a lot of time to catch up, but there's a little bit. So some of you have told me that you've already completed everything in the class, which is fantastic. And if you've done that, you should know what your grade is. I do go in and adjust a little bit, so I am going to go in and exempt a couple quizzes here and there, just because there's a lot of quizzes. There's like 40 different quizzes throughout the entire course, and it's kind of hard to keep up with. Okay, so as I said before, this is our last live class, and then it's just basically getting the rest of this stuff that you see right here that's coming up completed. Okay, and this is what's this week, is like that lesson 7 there. Okay, all right, so let's go on. Let's talk a little bit about identity theft and consumer protection. Okay, so they ask you some questions kind of in here. A couple of them are, one, if you are a person that goes out and buys things, you need to be able to kind of look and kind of see like if things look off, right? I mean, we all have situations that we kind of get in that we kind of like, yeah, I'm not going to get in that situation because something could happen, right? Well, same thing with identity theft and fraud. We want to avoid it as much as we can. Now, there's sometimes that you can't avoid it, which I understand, but there's ways that we can kind of minimize like our impact in it. Okay, so it tells about our rights. Okay, so we have a right to be safe as we're purchasing things, right? We don't have like any harmful materials that we're going to buy. They're going to make us sick or anything like that. We have the rights to be informed about certain things. So if somebody's going to charge us like an extra fee or something like that, they should disclose that. And honestly, they should disclose it up front. But you have, used car salesmen and that kind of stuff that don't always do that. You have the right to choose. So if there's like if somebody's like forcing you to try to buy something, that's probably not a good indicator it's a good situation. Okay, and then also to be heard. Okay, so one of, I guess, the good things, I guess it's good and bad things, but one of the good things is you have like Google reviews or reviews online where I could go out and say, do you know what? This place wasn't very nice to me, right? Or this place was good. And so then you kind of know where to go to buy things. It's also good to find out, what's the best place to eat in a certain area, all that kind of stuff, okay? So you have some agencies that are out there to help you in this regards, okay? You may have heard of the FDA. The FDA is the Food and Drug Administration. Make sure not everything kind of safe there. That you're not getting drugs that will make you sick or anything like that. All right, Consumer Product Safety. So this one helps, like one of the big things that was happening back like in the 70s and 80s. Oh, you just learned this in marketing? Oh, very good. So this is going to be a double thing. You probably know what a lot of this is. So basically, it tells you that a lot of issues that were happening back like in the 70s and 80s is people from China were using lead-based paint and putting it on children's toys. So the children were getting lead poisoning because they were sucking on the toys, and a whole bunch of people were getting sick. Okay, so there has to be some kind of thing to help you there. The Federal Trade Commission, that's with dealing with stocks. Okay, Better Business Bureau is an organization set up there to like help you find good businesses that are acting ethically. Also, the Bureau of Consumer Protection does the same thing as about the Business Bureau, and then also consumer unions. They help out to make sure there's, people are being treated right as they're being employed and stuff. You may have seen some of these signs up. The FDIC, which is like insurance that they'll protect your money as it's in a bank or a credit union up to a certain amount. Usually it's $250,000. Okay, so hopefully you don't give out basically information that's true, okay? It's funny, this just reminds me about name, right? So I have a friend, his wife, anytime we go out to eat, her name's actually Lindsay, but she tells everybody that her name is Ginger because she doesn't want people to know who she is. So it's some things you got to protect, okay? So don't just go give everybody, especially your social security number. That's kind of a big one, okay? Your name, so especially kind of your full name. People can look that up. You can look that up on Facebook really easily, okay? So, and people can know where you are. So, safer to kind of not do that. Your address, birth date, mother's maiden name, any kind of passwords or pins. Do not give that out to a bunch of people, okay? Because they can definitely go in. I'm sure. How many people have known somebody that has their email hacked or their Facebook hacked or something like that? Okay, Raymond has. I'm sure there has to be other people out there. Okay, awesome. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of you guys have kind of heard of that, and then some things don't happen too well, right? So you want to make sure you're careful as you're dealing with this information. Okay, so what is fraud? So fraud is like deliberate deception designed to secure unlawful or unfair or unlawful gain, okay? So you're kind of cheating the consumer. So basically, like let's say I set up a company that said they're going to sell something, and then when it comes in, I just take that money and I never give the product, okay? Now that's pretty deliberate, but there's things out there like that. One of the big scams that's going on right now, particularly in Utah, is in regards to KSL, okay? So that's something you got to watch out for. Make sure people are real there, okay? So there's ways to avoid identity theft. So you have fraud, and then you also have identity theft. So identity theft is somebody that's stealing your identity. You need to protect your mailbox, protect credit cards, debit cards, monitor your credit. So there's actually organizations out there like LifeLock, and they're the ones that stick out in my head right now. But there's a bunch of them out there that you can pay for a service there. All right, do you have a question out there? Maybe. Nope, you're good. All right. So yeah, all of these things. Also, one of the big things that's going on right now is like getting like make sure you have like antivirus software in your computer, because a lot of people are becoming smart enough to be able to hack into any kind of network and be able to get your personal information. Okay, so here's the question I want you guys to write in the chat real quick, okay? So it says, Bethany purchased a new pair of shoes from the internet. What steps should she take to ensure her identity was protected while making the purchase? Okay, so what's some things? If you were to do that, and we're not going to say it's like from Amazon or anything like that, so just a website that she found, what would you do to protect yourself? Okay, make sure you are at home and it has a lock. Yep. So one of the things that you have like secure browsers and unsecure browsers. Usually if they're secure, it means they're fairly more reputable. Can I repeat the question? Yeah. So the question is up here, Bethany purchased a new pair of shoes from the internet. What steps should she take to ensure her identity was protected while making the purchase? Okay, so Raymond gave out a couple good things there. For example, making sure there's a lock on your browser. So if you look at your top of your browser where the IP address is, if you look over, it has a little lock on there. That usually means it's a secure browser, which could mean it's credible. It doesn't mean it is, but it is more credible that way. Okay. Okay, this is something from the other thing. Should I use a credit card? Yes or no? Green or yeah, credit card. Yes or no? Green check if yes. Red check if no. Since you guys aren't all on there. Okay, so we got some green check. We got one green check. What do you think? Should she use a credit card? Yes or no? Okay, keep going. Alright. So, would I use a credit card on this purchase? And the correct answer is yes, I would. Okay, a lot of you guys are putting no. So, remember, a credit card has that zero liability. So, if they took my money and I never got the shoes, I can just say, hey, credit card company, they never purchased the shoes, and you file a thing against them, and the credit card just doesn't put that against your debt. But if you did a debit card, then you would have, it would come directly out of your bank account, and you're not going to get it back very easily. Okay, so should you use a credit card? The answer would be yes on the internet. Okay. Okay, some other things. What if it asks for your social security number? Should you put your social security number in the information? Yes or no? So green check for yes, red X for no. Okay, I got 2 people down. 3, 4, 5. Okay. Alright, thanks for answering there. Yeah, you shouldn't. To make a purchase, you should not have to put in your social security number. Okay? If they ask you that, that is a complete scam. You can tell that right now. Okay? So make sure you're being safe that way. Okay? Alright. Let's talk real quick about understanding financial contracts. Okay? So So financial contracts is something like, okay, let's say I go down to the bank and I need to get a loan on my vehicle, or I'm buying a new vehicle. Okay. There should be certain terms to the agreement that they should go over with you. So one, of how much when the payment is due. Also, it should be how much the interest rate is, like how much I have to pay to it. So every payment I make, so much goes towards interest, how much I'm paying the bank each time. There should be a lot of things in there like that they need to go over, okay? There is what's called a grace period. So let's say I'm struggling to make my payment. There's usually like a 15-day grace period in there that it doesn't affect you or your credit score if you can get it in that time, okay? So just some things you need to think about on that end of things. Okay, they also have, some have late penalties. They also have other finance charges. So sometimes to start a loan, they will charge you so much money up front because of because they want to make money. The people want to make money for giving that loan to you, right? There's also increased interest rate, where your interest rate will continue to go up if you continue to do things, okay? So all these things are something you need to watch out for and look at that, okay? I would also look at like the method of calculation. If they cannot calculate for you if you made every single payment in a breakdown of how much you'd pay every month and how much it's going to take off your loan every time you make a payment, you need to look at that, okay? And you need to be able to shop around and say, hey, what do you have, right? Compared to this credit union, to this bank, or something like that. So there's a lot of things to think about before you start taking out loans or something like that. All right. Yeah, we're going to skip this. Okay, let's go to scams and schemes, okay? So we already kind of talked about a scam. And something that may interest you if you are kind of interested in this kind of stuff of how some of these scams work. On British television, they put out a TV show called The Real Hustle, okay? And you can find it on YouTube. And so if you go there, you can actually watch a lot of how these people are scamming others. They take what people have done in the past, and they just kind of scammed them, right? And how they did it. So if that interests you, you can kind of see some things that are going on there. It's really quite interesting. It's amazing how creative they are, and how they just kind of really just trick you into different things, okay? Into doing different things. All right, so one of the things that you may have heard of before, you may have heard of a pyramid scheme. It's a type of financial fraud in which a people that join an organization in exchange for the rights to sell memberships to other people, okay? So it's like, hey, become a member of our thing, of our organization, right? Well, the person at the top, right, gets so much money for you doing it, so they have all these workers underneath, but really there's not a lot of benefit at all to this membership, okay? You may have also heard of a Ponzi scheme. Okay, it's closely related to a pyramid scheme, but the promoter generally has no product to sell or pays no commission to the investors who recruit new members. Okay, so you have something at the top. You say, hey, this is this cool organization, and they have people underneath them working for them, and the person at the top is the one that gets all the money, and nobody else gets it. Okay, so you want to look at, they have a lot of different companies, and I'm not saying they're bad. You can look into them yourself, but they will get you to join. You're supposed to pay some type of membership fee, and then you try to get so many people underneath you to sell underneath you so you can make profit on what they're making. Some people make really good money doing it, but just be careful it's not detrimental to you, right? Okay, you also have something called an affinity fraud, which I'll kind of go over that later because we don't have a ton of time. Predatory lending. This is something I wanted to spend quite a bit of time on because they really get people, particularly young people that are unaware of how things are, and then also elderly people that maybe trust a little too much. But what they do is they can come in and say things like, hey, I'm a nonprofit organization and we're trying to help other people out, and they're trying to get money from you. And sometimes it's like a reoccurring thing, like they have you pay so much money per month when you're not getting, you think it's going to help like a good cause, but it actually never gets to there. So you got to be careful of those. Also, the key targets to those I said before are the elderly and those that are younger. So this predatory lending, I would be pretty weary a little bit about payday loans, those kind of things, because they can really, the interest rates and stuff like that are really high, and you just need to be careful with it. Okay, so like people calling and saying they're from the Social Security. Yes, thank you, Raymond. I've got that so many times on my phone lately that this is from the Social Security company. You basically have something going on, right? It's fun to mess with them and waste their time. Yeah, if you have time to do it, but if they're just messing with you, it's a pain. There's one that came out with Costco as well, that I got quite a bit. It's like Costco members will receive $500 and blah blah blah, right? And then they get it, and this guy just tries to get personal information out of you, and that's all they're trying to do. Yep. So good. I'm glad you're bringing those up. So here's some warning signs, okay, of somebody that's trying to prey on you or something like that. Okay, predatory lending. Unreasonable high interest rates. Okay. Multiple refinancing. Okay. So it's just like, oh, you can just go and just flip it over into another loan. Not usually that's not a good deal because there's so many fees that go with that. Unnecessary debt consolidation. So sometimes it's good to put all your debt into one if you have a lot, but sometimes it's not beneficial to do that. So you need to be smart and ask people that you trust. Okay, balloon payments. Okay, so sometimes you have really low payments at the beginning, and then it will go up like 100%, 200% on how much you're paying. You're like, oh yeah, I only pay $50 for my car, but you don't know that 6 months from now that $50 payment is now going to be $500. Okay. Negative amortization. Okay, so that means that you're actually not paying anything towards paying off your loan. Door-to-door solicitation. Got to watch for that. The backdating of documents, so not dating on the correct date. Large loan broker fees. Kickbacks between lender and broker. Single credit life insurance. Okay. So here's some common scams. Advanced fee schemes. The prize that will cost you, right? So yeah, you want a prize, but you have to pay $50 for shipping, right? Online auctions, be careful of those. Fraud jobs, that's something that's big. Like you'll go and you'll turn in all your HR information, which includes your social security number, driver's license, all that stuff, and it's not a real job. Okay, so you need to do that. Money-making schemes. Bogus charities, scam schools. Okay, so that's something as well. Like there's schools out there that say, hey, we can get you through well, some of this is college too, right? But we can get you through with a bachelor's degree in 12 months, right? Doesn't happen very often. Okay, you have to do a lot. Okay, so there's a lot of different things. This just tells you more about other things that are going on out there. And let's see here. How many more slides do I got? Just got a couple more. Okay, top strategies to avoid it. Let's just talk about those real quick. So just be careful out there. I guess that's kind of the biggest thing that I gotta say is be careful. Make sure you're not giving your credit card to whoever. Being careful with all the information that you have, because it will get you. I've had my credit card information stolen probably 3 or 4 times. Okay. But since I use a credit card, all I had to do was just say, hey, credit card company, this wasn't mine. Mail me a new credit card with a new credit card number, and I was good that way. And that's the biggest reason I use credit cards, is because of this fraud issue. But then I make sure I have enough money to pay it off each month too. But anything that's happened to you guys that you want to bring up or anything like that? If not, then we'll stop class right there, because I've been going for over 25 minutes now. Any questions? No? Okay. All right. Okay, well, I'm going to stop the recording real quick anyways.
Recording stopped.